Hello and welcome to Ask-a-Techie episode 5. My name is Tim Smale, e-learning fellow with the Faculty of Health, and with me this week I have Pete Lonsdale, Learning Technology Officer from the School of Nursing Midwifery, and Jonathan Knight from IT Services. I can't remember your title.
Well, according to HR, it's still Senior Computing Officer.
Okay.
I think officially I'm a System Administrator.
Right. So again, it's just a few of us this week. Thank you all for your questions. Those of you that want to ask questions live, please feel free to do so. We have the Q&A tool running in this session, which you should be able to find on the video. If you are watching in YouTube, you should get a little banner comes up down at the bottom of your screen that says "Take part in the conversation." That will invite you over to the Google Plus event page where you can actually click on the Q&A tool and ask your questions, and we'll try and get to answering some of those as soon as possible. So we've had a few questions come in this week, which we're really grateful for. The first one I'm going to get out of the way is somebody was asking how they get to find out about Ask-a-Techie and how do they actually ask a question. I think the best way is join the VLE mailing list, don't you?
Yeah. All you have to do is email vle-join@maillists.kiel.ac.uk. After 3 seconds or 4 seconds, you'll get back some instructions on what to do next, which is click a link or reply to the email message, and that's it.
Okay, and they can also get to that from maillists.kiel.ac.uk.
Oh yeah, it's a long way around. I just email vle-join@maillists.kiel.ac.uk. It's a lot quicker.
Okay. And obviously asking a question, you can ask it live in the session using the Q&A tool, or you can actually go to the event page. So when we send out the announcement on as many mailing lists as we can until we get told otherwise, I'm sure we'll start to annoy people soon enough. But we'll probably keep them going on the VLE mailing list. Go to the events page, which is on Google+, and you can either use the Q&A tool, which is the one we prefer, but you can always just put it in the comments, or failing that, you can email myself, t.smale@kiel.ac.uk, or Matt West, who is our LPDC representative, and that's m.l.west@kiel.ac.uk, and we'll all be able to get your questions lined up ready for the show. Okay, so on to the next question. We've been asked here that I'll read this question verbatim. So, hearing that Turnitin might become unsupported by Blackboard. Won't miss Turnitin, but will GradeMark. Am I wasting my time building quick mark response banks now? Will CrocDoc be significantly improved and integrated with SaferSign before GradeMark is turned off, e.g. full page display, large megabyte submissions, and tablet grading? I think probably the first thing to do is to waylay concerns that we're dropping Turnitin at the moment. Nothing's been decided.
At the moment, there's a policy being decided by Claire Appleby, so officially we're supporting both Turnitin and SaferSign at this point in time. Yeah. Certainly from our point of view in IT, we are supporting both of them.
Yeah, and we're still heavily using them in our schools, aren't we?
And certainly, I mean, there are some issues with Turnitin because it was bought by venture capitalists a while ago. There is an issue with the partnering status between Turnitin and Blackboard, where I think Blackboard used to support Turnitin, but it actually doesn't matter. As long as Turnitin support Blackboard, it will still work because obviously the APIs are all public. They can carry on building the building blocks and installing them. There shouldn't be an issue.
So it's pretty much the same review process that any other system at Kiel goes through on a very regular basis. Everything that we use is constantly scrutinized and reviewed, especially when new updates and features become available on competitor products. So at the moment, carry on creating your response banks as you're going. But as Jonathan said, IT are supporting SaferSign. But I guess probably it comes down to your school's policy on what you can use.
I am a bit puzzled about why Ian thinks that CrocDoc isn't supported by SaferSign, because that's certainly the tool I'm using. The tool that's the equivalent to GradeMark in Blackboard speak is called inline grading. And I was pretty sure that was all up and running and tested.
I think, well, just picking up on the comment there about full screen access, so when I've tested it out, I have found that there are display issues there. There are things that I would like the CrocDoc display to be able to do that you can't get from GradeMark. So you do get quite a narrow window, and there is more scrolling involved. You can't view it can't view the whole page at a time. So I wonder if that's just what he's referring to. I don't know. Ian, if you're listening, contribute on the Q&A so that we can clarify a little.
Yeah.
Certainly large megabyte submissions, that's all down to us, because one of the big wins with SaferSign is that the assignments don't actually go anywhere, they actually just stay on site. So whereas with Turnitin you have to back them up, with SaferSign they're all local. There's no problem with submitting them there, and we control how big those submissions are. So I don't know what the limit is, but we can change it should you want it bigger. Is the easiest answer. I mean, tablet-based grading's in, isn't it?
Tablet-based grading will very shortly be available. So there is an app out there at the moment. It's not been released for the UK market.
Oh, can we get it? Can we not get it?
But we will be able to. Just let me check.
I know. I just think
I believe it's this month.
I didn't check because it's not on Android.
I believe a few people have managed to download it somehow, but it's not yet currently supported for the UK market. That's why we've not been able to get it working. But it will be very short.
No, that was a bug. I think they fixed that. There was a bug in that if you weren't using the ENUS language pack, it didn't work.
Right. Okay.
I think that was a bug, not a feature.
well, whatever's happened in the past,
I was
told yesterday that the instructor grading app will be available in the UK this month.
Oh right, okay. I think that's an interesting spin they put on it then, because I think there was a bug with the language packs, and if you didn't have an ENUS language pack, bad things happened.
So of course you were at the Blackboard's conference yesterday, weren't you?
That's right. Yes. So Blackboard introducing us to the future of Blackboard. So they've made quite a few changes to their interface. Do you want me to discuss that now?
Yeah, let's hear what's going to be changing.
So to reassure anyone who panics at the thought of change in Blackboard, Blackboard are very much wanting to roll this out gradually. So what they are saying is that a test version that we can log on to will be available early next year, and we'll be able to log on and test out the new look and feel of Blackboard. And also there's going to be a feature built into there so that you can assess whether your course is ready for migration, so your module, whether it's ready for migration into the new look and feel, and they've got a warning system in there to tell you about things that aren't currently supported. So for example, in the current test version, and this is not what will be available in the final production version, but for example, they don't currently support all of the conditional release, all of the adaptive release criteria. So if you try to migrate a module into it at the moment, it will warn you and say, actually, this isn't supported. So they're putting that in place. I won't go into too much detail about what's new and what's available. We'll wait and have a look at it in the new year. But the main thing to note... Sorry.
I was going to say, the main one I heard was responsive design.
That's it. I was just going to say, the main change is that it's now mobile ready. So if staff or students view the interface on mobile devices, so that's phones, tablets, as soon as you shrink the screen down, the interface changes, but you retain full functionality. We actually saw a live demo of that.
I think that was brought in partly because the Blackboard mobile app gives you other advantages. One of the key things. I was actually with a bunch of visually impaired students last week, and they were saying they really love the mobile app because the one thing it does is it tells them what's changed. So when you put a new piece of content into a course, the alarms all go off on their phones, and they now know what it is that's been added and where it's been added. So
do you know if that's immediate?
Well, within
I mean, what I was saying,
a few hours. It's not
if
like
I put something up by mistake and then take it down. Do they get to know that it was up there for a moment?
I think so. I get an awful lot of alerts about undergraduate medicine. I must get off those courses. But and one of the things they found with the mobile app was there were certain types of content like that when you click on it, it has to jump into a web version of it because it can't represent it inside the mobile app because it's some sort of external thing. So what the problem they then had was then the web page for Blackboard came up, and you were squinting at it with all the navigation. So I think they tried to make sure Blackboard designed itself so that it worked, so that when you jumped out of the Blackboard mobile kind of app thing into a web browser, it still looked half decent.
Right. Okay. Well, from what I've seen, they've certainly put an awful lot of effort into making the system work. And with you saying about being able to see what's changed, that is visible to students. They get a timeline view. So their landing page at the moment, and I say at the moment because one of our questions was, we like to use Blackboard as a portal. We like students to land on the page that we choose, and we weren't alone in saying that. So this is all up for customization, but there is a really nice view that is available to the students. Whether or not they land on that view whether that's the first thing they see or not, that shows them what has changed. It shows them what assignments, for example, may be coming up, and they can get directly to those bits of content by just clicking on it in that timeline. So they don't have to drill down into the individual module. It's all there in a nice timeline view, and they click and it takes them straight in. And that was really nice. Everybody was very impressed with that. And it's got a nice.
So how's that different to the What's New panel as it stands now?
It's a streamlined version of it. And
okay, so similar functionality.
Similar functionality, but they've brought it right to the front and made the whole thing responsive. So
I suppose what we could worry about is that students will only pick up on the stuff from the What's New and not delve into maybe courses that are a bit more pre-populated.
That's right. So we need to look at how it fits with our workflows, how we present things to the students.
Yeah.
The other big development, which also got a lot more interest, I think, than anybody had realised, certainly in the room, and Blackboard fed back that generally they've had positive feedback to this more than they'd anticipated, is offline access. So what
it was used to be known as, the backpack.
The backpack, yes.
Oh, backpack is back.
Except now, I think it looks like it might actually work for people.
So that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a definitely improvement over the old one.
So this is desktop only. It's not something that you can use on phones or tablets. But you go to the web page, or students do. It's intended for students' use, and you select a module to make available offline, and it downloads all of the content that's currently available for that module. And then if you start, go back to that module on your laptop elsewhere, and you don't have a connection, you still see all of that content. There are obvious limitations. So stuff that hasn't been released yet. Is not downloaded. Obviously, if stuff is changed while you're offline, you don't see that until you go back to it. So there are some limitations depending on how certain modules are set up.
There's an issue with the fact that is it 1 GB limit per module at the moment?
No, we don't. It's 2, but
2 gigabytes.
We add it in when people ask. I'm not too strict on that.
I mean,
as long as you're not being silly with the space.
Obviously, a student.
Some have got 4, some have got 6.
Yeah, a student's daily quota on the Wi-Fi network is a gigabyte, isn't it?
No, it's 2, possibly more.
Oh, is it? Okay. But I mean, we might run into.
Ideally, they shouldn't be down. Ideally, a course should be 2 gigs. I mean, I can imagine somebody on a phone trying to download 2 gigs. They're going to be a little bit annoyed about the bill
or something like that. But it does give the students an indicator of how much space it's going to occupy on their device.
Oh, it does show you warning signs.
It shows you how much is going to be downloaded. Before
just an education for our students to warn them it's not the best process to do this unless you're going abroad or somewhere you're going to be prolonged access without network.
It's not going to work. I'm thinking about modules that I work with where content is released gradually over time. It's not going to work. You're going to have to check in every week or so to make sure you've got the most up-to-date content. But it is going to work well, I think, for students who are out on placement, working in hospital sites where maybe they don't have network access, but they are able to take that content with them.
Or maybe at the point of revision, if they want to go and work away from any network. Download, take a copy with you. By the point you're coming to revise, the course is probably going to be pretty stable.
That's true.
No, it's very interesting. We look forward to seeing those next summer. I guess we'll be rolling them out.
I don't know. We've hit a small snag, and normally I wouldn't touch Blackboard now until next summer. There's a small snag coming up in that Google have changed the way they do use authentication, so that as of April next year, all of our current Flickr and YouTube videos will stop working unless I do an upgrade before then.
Oh, is that the plug-in to Blackboard?
It's the OAuth 2. No, it's the OAuth 2. I think at the moment Blackboard uses OAuth 1.
So our videos and Flickrs aren't going to stop working on their websites. It's just inside the KLE that there might be an issue. But some staff have already found that there's been an issue this year because Blackboard upgraded to HTTPS and some of the YouTube videos are embedded with HTTP. Oops. So I've had quite a few staff having to be indoctrinated into turning on the HTML button and editing the URL to HTTPS. Yeah, it depends on how in depth the person wants to get with modifying their course. But yes, that's if you're going to your course now and you're finding that you don't have the video, it's a blank panel, then it might well be that you need to contact your learning technologist or the IT service desk, or if you're more au fait with doing these things, you can either remove the video and re-embed it from YouTube, either directly from the website using the embed code or using the plugin tool in Blackboard. Or if you're a bit more advanced, you can just hit the HTML button and just change in the path for the video. It will say HTTP:, just put HTTPS:, and then when you submit those changes, it should all be fine.
But obviously April's a bad time of year to do upgrades. I can imagine that being massively unpopular. So I think if we're going to have to upgrade it in order to keep the YouTube videos working, then we're going to have to do that before Christmas. Well, I have been in here on Boxing Day. You wouldn't believe how many students are logged in on Boxing Day. It's unbelievable, especially when you try and do some work on it. I think, get a life, people. Why am I here? But yeah, so I am just a bit worried that I would normally not touch it at all, and I'm going to have to do it, and that's a bit irritating because I don't really want to change it at that point. But it has to be somewhere late December.
But we'll have well in advance notice of any potential downtime.
It'll be a Saturday morning. It'll be like a 9 till 12 on a Saturday, and then I'll put that in. So after that, of course, I don't know when these new features are turning up. Because often Blackboard is now not such a simple thing. It used to be like a big monolithic piece of software.
Yeah.
So you'd install it and then you'd run it. Now it's a smaller sort of framework piece of software, and then onto that you then add these building blocks, and they are constantly updated. Now, as it happens, there's a few, every now and again a security thing comes out or something changes, and those building blocks can be dropped in without any impact to the the system. It can actually even be done live while it's still running. So those updates happen periodically as one comes out. You suddenly think, oh, that's a bit important. We better get that one in. So it's possible that things will sort of appear over time without you necessarily noticing.
Well, we would love no downtime. That's always a benefit to staff and students.
It's a brave button when I push it.
Yeah.
Because you push the button and it's kind of you're committed to it. It's either going to crash or it's going to work, and you don't know which until you push the button. And let's see. So I don't tend to do those obviously critical times if at all possible.
Yeah.
Again, weekends are fine. We tend to sneak them in while no one's looking. Saturday afternoons, no one's around. So
fair enough.
That's when we tend to do stuff.
Moving on to the next question. They've had a couple of questions in relation to some updates from Google. Really, the one that's been asked about is a new. I think it's just a new app. Maybe it's coming to the desktop suite as well. But there's a thing called Google Inbox. Some of you will have come across this, heard about it, seen adverts for it. But Google Inbox is a new way of delivering your emails. Google have decided that the traditional method of seeing emails the way that we do might not be the best one, and they've released a new app. Now, at the moment, it's invitation only. So you have to know somebody that was invited, and then they get 2 invites, or you can apply to them. I applied last week, and I've still not had an invite back. So.
I don't believe we can actually. That would have to be on a personal.
Yes,
Google
sorry.
account.
It has to be on your personal account. It's not available for organisation or domain accounts. So at kiel.ac.uk, it will not work for us at the testing phase. If it does become available for us later on, it's probably going to be an optional. I don't see Google getting rid of their Gmail app anytime soon. I think there would be riots if they decided to try and move everybody to this. There's a lot of sort of Marmite test with the inbox.
From what I've read about it, it's not geared at enterprise users. It's
No.
more consumer level. So
Yeah.
I suspect that they will have to keep their legacy system in place, the system we're all used to, and Inbox is there as a slightly friendlier view for personal use.
I think it's more it tries to group your emails together by task. So seeing your newsletter subscriptions together and seeing your payments, your online orders together, things like that, and it tries to group them together so that you can do a mass function on those, such as mark them all as read and move them off and things like this, and just tries to bring everything into the sort of almost like a notification feed as opposed to the traditional inbox that we've seen. So if anyone does have access to that, by all means, have a play with it on your personal accounts. I don't see it coming to Kiel accounts certainly for a few months. and then it's going to be an optional if people want to move on to it. If you do play with it on your personal one, or once it becomes available for Kiel, if it does, feedback to us. We'd love to know what you think about it, your experiences. That'd be great to hear.
We certainly have a policy that whatever's on Google we turn on, as long as it's not disruptive.
Yeah.
We have a policy that everything gets turned on. We don't turn anything off because that's just silly. I have noticed we have got our unlimited storage.
Yeah,
in Google,
that was the next one. So
which is rather cool.
Yeah, anyone who doesn't know about this is traditionally you had 30 gigabytes of storage space in Google, and that was after they merged all of your storage space together. So that was includes your emails, your Google Drive, and one of the other apps as well was counted in that as well, which was your Google Plus Photos. So now when you go into Google Drive, you will see in the bottom left-hand corner, let me show you my screen.
I was going to say, we're creating about 10,000 Google Docs a week. We've only got 1 million in there as an institution.
Wow.
It's a fair whack, isn't it?
So down here in the bottom left-hand corner, it tells you that instead of saying 24 gigabytes of 30 used, mine now just tells me it's 24 gigabytes used, period. And it tells me where that is. So I've got 16 gig inside my Google Drive, 7 in my email, and 67 megabytes worth of photos in Google Plus Photos. Now, the interesting thing from Google, as far as I'm concerned, is that the largest individual file you can upload is 5 terabytes.
Right.
I'm not going to try and count the number of zeros in
I'm sure someone in the medicine's got one of those files, haven't they?
A kilobyte is 1,000 bytes. A megabyte is 1,000 kilobytes. A gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes, and a terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. Most of you have USB thumbsticks that are 4, 8 gigs in size, maybe 16 gigs in size. So you're going to need, well, if it's a 4 gigabyte thumb drive, you're going to need 1,000 of those, and you've still got an extra terabytes worth of space. You know, that's the sort of size it is, and there are very few computers on Earth that can actually handle a file size as large as 5 terabytes.
Well, I still try and stick to 4 gigabytes because of problems moving files around on old Windows machines. So video files, anything that goes above 4 gigabytes, I still try and split that down, because if you move that onto older systems that use the FAT32, which is what's commonly used for USB sticks, won't handle files greater than 4 gigabytes.
I love history.
There we go, a little bit of history for you.
File allocation table.
Yes.
1981.
It's still around though.
It is, yeah.
You know, exFAT is a much better system, but when I tried that with a box I've got at home, it didn't read exFAT. I had to go back to FAT32, so I had to split the video file I was working with.
So, on to the next question. We have a question here about video conferencing facilities, which are secure, confidential. Now, we are currently talking to you via Google Plus Hangouts on Air, which is kind of an extension of Google Hangouts, which we all have access to. Now, Google Hangouts are, as far as I did ask you two just before we started, and we all feel that Google Hangouts are secure and confidential. We've never had cause to believe that anyone has been able to crack into those. I mean, I've heard of more people cracking into Skype than I have Google Hangouts.
Yeah, it's all over SSL, so as far as I know, it's as safe as anything out there.
Yeah, so you know, we're championing Google Hangouts as a secure and safe, secure and confidential conferencing facility. If you move to the Google Hangouts on Air, it's slightly less, because we're broadcasting online, so anybody at Kiel can click into this link. I think I have it tied down just to Kiel University, and then after we've recorded, it's made publicly available.
Really? The whole world can see us?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Hi, Mum.
I know. just get the casting directors in.
Makeup's fine, John.
Yes.
If you're looking for a nice confidential video conferencing facility between people that do have Google accounts, especially if they're between staff at Kiel, then Google Hangouts is fantastic for that. Outside of that, probably the next go-to for me would be Skype.
Yeah,
even though it does have occasionally security breaches, but maybe I don't know. Microsoft had bought Skype a few years ago, didn't they? And they're working on improving it.
I think I'd be more tempted by AnyMeeting. I think having used that, the quality is better. I think
AnyMeeting is a very nice system. AnyMeeting.com. If you go there, you can sign up for a free account, which is either ad supported, which allows up to 200 people to join you, or you can sign up for a trial for 30 days, I believe, for their pro licensing. We've used that in the past. I was using that heavily before Google accounts came to Kiel. So that's another one that's definitely worth looking at. If it's something that is of a really sensitive nature, I know that the School of Medicine use dedicated systems that use internet IP addresses to dial one another and make themselves very secure connections that don't go via other servers, I believe. So if it is something of that level, then probably the best gentleman to talk to is Alex Goff, who was going to be with us today actually, but was unable to make it.
AVS have some gear as well.
Yeah, and AVS.
I point that way, of course. No one knows what we're actually in the.
They're sat in a room that way.
Yeah, we're actually in the AVS studios, and they are just
could be pointing to somebody's kitchen.
Yeah, just through that wall there. So.
The last question that we've got here is about online spaces for teams. They have a team that don't meet very often and have conflicting working hours, but they're like a environment to have discussions, questions, answers, share feedback, comments, and I guess to use as a sort of a reference repository for answering future questions.
They don't say whether it's Kiel users or not, because I mean one of the standard things would be an organisation in the KLE. That's a fairly
organisation in the KLE, or
if they're Kiel users, that
would
would
just create a NAT, create a module in there,
create a module,
that way. Yes.
Or if you wanted to make it on something that was at the moment a bit more mobile friendly, would be a community inside Google+.
Yeah.
I mean, just reading this,
and that would obviously work for people outside of Kiel as well.
Yeah, just looking at the questions, answers, feedback sort of tone of this question. If it is question and answers that you're receiving from students and operating as sort of a service desk, then obviously it might be a good idea to talk to Sandra Gillam about Top Desk, which is the system where all of your service requests for IT, finance, and a few other places now go through. And if you're becoming a sort of service desk, then you can negotiate with Sandra as to creating your own environment inside there. And it's really nice at collating all of the responses, tracking how they get responded to, and then you can come back and use that as a resource. But yeah, I guess have a look at your group, find out which they would prefer to use, the KLE or a Google community. Google Circles aren't really appropriate for this. I don't think that really works as well. Google Circles is a way that you can group people together, and then when you post something to your Google Plus wall, if I had John and Pete into a circle called Ask-a-Techie, if I posted something to my wall, I could say only that circle can see it. It's not a way of putting information into a dedicated area. It's a way of saying who can see the things that you're posting to your wall. The difference between communities and groups, well, at the moment Google Groups are controlled by IT services and set up from there, and they're more of a mailing list, and the ability when you go into Google Drive and want to share a file or a folder with a group of people, you'd share that with the group.
It's a shortcut really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Whereas a community has a dedicated environment where you can have conversations, put files into, and things like that.
I think I'd be if they're academics who are involved in teaching, then the KLE might be the better place to put them. There's less to learn. Whereas if you're going on Google, but I mean
the reason
you have got two choices, isn't it? But both of those will work. So
yeah, Cheryl, who asked this question, actually works in the health. I think she's still in the health library. I'm not sure if she moved up to the main library, but that's why I was just wondering whether or not they'd want to use the KLE if they're not already using that there.
It's worth just noting that inside the KLE, as well as discussions and being able to share files, you have got the wiki tool in there, which, as far as I can tell, is not used very much at Kiel, but it was something that we were looking at yesterday. Blackboard were getting us to try it out as an example. That's a space where you're effectively building up a repository of content, and you just create pages and then create links between the pages. So if you've ever been on Wikipedia, Wikipedia is a wiki. It's a collection of pages. You build the links between them. There is a tool in the KLE for doing that. It's slightly clunky, but it works.
I've seen some rather sneaky academics. They were using the wiki tool as a way of writing their lectures for the next year. So what they would do is they would create the wiki and let the students loose on it to actually create the teaching material, which they would then use the following year.
That's fantastic.
Why not?
Well, I thought that's really neat.
Yeah. Student-led teaching.
So the students go in there and they would sort of fix it, and there's explain things, and as people ask questions, they fix that, and gradually this wiki document built up into something that was nice and comprehensive.
I really like that idea.
And covered the idea of the lecture, and then they just copied it into the next year and said, "Well, here we are. Here's the material written by the students from last year."
Been refined, yes.
Okay, so. If anyone does have a question that they haven't yet asked, do use the Q&A tool very, very quickly. We're just starting to come to the end here. Anything from either of you two? Anything that you've come across in the last week? Any queries that you've had to deal with that's worth raising here?
No, I mean, we've moved office, which is the major thing that's happened to IT in the last week. We've been packing boxes, then unpacking them again. So I think obviously not all of IT has moved. As I keep saying, oh yes, IT have moved, and of course all the people who didn't move then say, hang on a minute, you missed out. So the technical services are still where they were in the ground floor of the library. It's all the people who were on the first floor,
except for the service desk.
Mostly, there will be a service desk in the library.
There will be a physical desk,
offering the same facilities, but that's really just for students walking. There's now a dedicated little area over in the new IC1, which is where the rest of IT are hiding out at the moment.
But can we get through your security?
Not as walking in is a bit hard, but they are dedicated on the phone. So I think people find the phone is answered better now because there are more people who are dedicated to answering the phone. So
have you separated
the
telephone numbers between staff calls and student calls?
There are two numbers, but I'm not sure whether they were
33636 and 33838.
That's the one, yes. So I would certainly phone the staff one of those, which is the 33838.
Ah, I thought it was the other way around.
They all go to the same call centre, so it doesn't actually. Are you sure no, it must be that. They all go to the same call centre, but there are now.
Anyone wants the secret number?
Obviously, there is
a campus staff email will be going around from IT at some point.
Obviously, getting to us is now a little harder because you do now have to go and sort of go to the reception area, and then they'll call up, and we'll have to come down. So it's very hard for staff to walk in. It's certainly worth trying to phone rather than trying to walk in.
Or
obviously, some services still happen at the service desk.
Yeah.
So there are some staff services which are staying there, which is particularly things like laptop repairs are not moving because they are repaired downstairs. So
that's something a lot of staff don't realise that you do. You do offer a laptop repair service.
Yes. There's a kind of fixed fee, kind of,
Yeah, and that's for personal laptops.
Oh yeah, home ones.
That's that's a really good service. I've heard of some really good reports from staff that have taken their laptops to the service desk for repair.
But obviously, from the students' point of view, the service the students had is still in the same place, same number of people at it, so that isn't affected. That's quite important to sort of make out that they still go to exactly the same place. And of course, all that area is all being converted into soft furnishings, and careers are moving in.
Brilliant.
So that's what's going into the space that we've left. Okay.
So, quick last check, and we've had no questions coming in whilst we're live. Thank you to everybody that is watching us live. We can see you. Not physically, you can just see the number that's there. Right. Don't worry, you don't have to suddenly cover up or anything.
All the people suddenly panicking. What's they can see me?
So thank you ever so much. If you are watching this later on, please on the YouTube page click the like, click the thumbs up button. It shows that we have popularity here, and we will carry on doing these. We are going to try and do them every other week now, so please keep your questions coming in, and we will try and get to them and answer them as quickly as possible. So thank you very much for watching.